I'm your host. Welcome to On My Block podcast. I'm your host, Amon Green, along with my good friend and teammate, Mike Wall, and he's about to come and clean the top off right there at the end of the video, which is something that all my linemen did, which I love that they did because it sent a message to other teams, players.
Don't get it twisted, AG. Nobody did that more than me, man. I got the rug to prove it.
Oh, you got the reward for that?
I got the rug, man. I got the rug for that. The war dog, what it was called.
And I believe that. I'm not going to doubt you, homie. I'm not going to doubt you. So welcome to the podcast. So crazy weekend for myself, but for NBA, baseball, basketball, we're going to get into this read, knock this out right away. So BetOnline remains our number one source for our NBA playoffs betting this season. Get your analysis and every play prop point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, game trends at BetOnline. So updated odds for every live games, the conference championships, right down to the NBA finals. And man, it's been like a football playoff in the NBA, man. They be getting physical and the referees are just letting them go. So I kind of like it, but these guys they ain't about that life, but they're trying to act like they are, Mike. So
yeah, I don't think it's like you say that. And then my mind goes back to like the 90s and
you're right.
It's just like anything else. What's that Drake line? Trigger fingers become Twitter fingers.
I heard that one. That sounds like Drake.
That's
right
it. Yeah.
All right, but BetOnline is our NBA headquarters this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your bonus. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts, Mike. And we had draft week. And then playoffs, NHL playoffs, we had a lot of stuff going on, but obviously we were focused on the NFL draft 3-day event now that has changed over the years.
It certainly has. And what's the other thing that's changing? So the format's changed. It used to be the first 3 days, the first 3 rounds are in day one. It used to be like an 8-hour day. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was going to hate how they do it. And I enjoyed it. I watched, and this is one of the first time my kids were out with their
Mike,
friends.
You need to put me in. I'm still in the studio. There you go.
Where are we, Wood? I'm sorry, brother.
No, you good.
Aha! Anyways, what I was saying was on Thursday night and Friday, the kids were out, so I started watching this thing. I usually don't, I just kind of pick up the who picked what and whatnot. Yeah. But I watched this thing.
We picked up, right?
I think different networks are doing a good job. There's some guys that, just like anything else, you got guys you want to listen to and guys you don't, or people you want to listen to. And I should 100%. Say people you want to listen to and people you don't.
100%.
What's happening now? One thing is happening now is undrafted free agents. So if you go to the draft and you don't get drafted, or if you're participating in the draft and you don't get drafted, you can sign as an undrafted free agent. And in the last 5-10 years, it's kind of become a big deal because you have a better chance of you can get bigger signing bonuses as an undrafted free agent as you would like a 6th or 7th round pick because they're slotted. It's slotted money.
Right.
And 2, you and your agent, your family can kind of start discussing if, let's say you have 2 or 3 options to go as an undrafted free agent, you can go to a specific team that you think you have the best chance to actually make the squad. So
it's like college again. You can just pick.
It's kind of interesting because now you're thinking like, let's say, AG, let's say you and I are both guys that maybe are 7th round draft picks.
Right.
And you're going like, well, shoot, man, I hope I get to be undrafted because these guys are picking up, and it's not like a ton of money, but $20,000, $30,000 signing bonus. But they're as undrafted guys, but they're also, let's say, Green Bay wants you, the Patriots want you, the Bengals. You can choose which team you go to versus if you get drafted, you're out to lunch. And what's happening now is the teams are now going, wait a second, we're spending extra money and we're not necessarily getting the guys we want because it's free. It turns into a free agency.
Correct.
A lot of teams are thinking about trading back into the draft and picking up like a ton of 7th round picks so they don't have to actually go through and fight all these other teams and pay extra money and do all this stuff for free agents. Interesting set of circumstances that is developing there with the draft.
100%. And with that, like you said, for the player, it's probably a better situation money-wise. For the team, it actually sounds like a better ideal because you get more options at a cheaper price, what you have to spend on players in the draft. And every draft from first round down to 7th round, obviously, it's a big decrease of price. So now that price, it could be more of a, if you just, are you good with numbers and getting talent in the building of what you need. And now you could get what we're going to talk about with the Packers, what they did with their draft. You could get inventory now and then get these players that are, those 7-rounders, those free agent players are more than hungry to get and somehow solidify themselves on an NFL roster, become OTAs, and then get ready for training camp. So that'll be something that I say that is something that for a player that has the right mindset, it's a win.
Yeah, and let's just talk, because we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about these late round draft picks, AG. So let's you start with the kicker, Anders Carlson. He's probably the kid from Auburn. He's got Mason Crosby, thanks for playing. We're probably moving on from that relationship, although it's been a phenomenal relationship on both sides.
Yeah, great career.
You look at Carrington Valentine, the quarterback of Kentucky, Lou Nichols III, the running back out of Central Michigan. The only safety we drafted, Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State, actually was a cornerback at Iowa State, and then got moved to safety his last year. So
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
He's a more physical guy. I actually really like him, but and then Grant Dubois, the receiver for Charlotte. These guys are, you always look at those guys and you and I go, okay, there's probably special teams contributors first and foremost, right? But from the Packers standpoint, one or two of these guys is going to make the squad. Yeah, and you're getting them on the cheap. I mean, you're just getting them on the cheap, as opposed to having to go out. If you get Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State, if you pick him up as an undrafted free agent, you're probably paying him more money. Yep. He's probably had his choice of a couple different places he wants to go. So now he starts talking to, I don't know, the Vikings, and maybe they got a better fit for him or whatever.
Right.
But it is an interesting dynamic, AG. But we might as well kick this thing off and start talking about from the top down, because I think the Packers did something interesting, at least with their first pick at Lucas Van Ness, the defensive lineman. I know he's an edge player, outside linebacker, defensive end. He played defensive tackle. He's 6'5", 275 pounds, ran a 4.58 at the combine. Athletic freak. I didn't know his nickname was Hercules. Had I known that, I might have felt a little bit differently about him.
Right, because I know you and nicknames. You're not a big fan of nicknames unless you.
Hercules. I love that. Are you kidding me?
Right, but I'm saying other nicknames where you earn them. You have to earn.
Yeah, well, listen. If you're from Iowa, here's the thing. I love Iowa guys. I mean, I did.
Yeah, me too. Defensive linemen, linemen, and tight ends.
Yeah, they produce, right? They produce, and before they had the incident, when obviously with Coach Ferentz and then Chris Doyle, before Chris Doyle had the all the stuff happen at Iowa, they still are. They just known for bringing guys that are playing in the trenches. Those guys develop. They turn 2-star, 1-star guys into guys like Robert Gallery, get picked up second pick in the draft years ago, from Iowa to the Raiders. So Brandon Scherf. I mean, they just have guys. I watch it and I immediately go, maybe it's because he's white, maybe it's because of his stance. But I go, oh, Aaron Cameron, like this. The Packers are hoping that this guy develops into an Aaron Cameron. Right. The thing that, and we can watch a couple of clips of tape at 13. And I don't know how you think about this, AG, but at 13, I want a guy that is almost, unless it's quarterback, is like a game-changing plug-and-play guy from the jump.
Yes.
And it was really surprising to me that they picked this player up in particular, because he wasn't even the best left available in his position, for me at least, because Miles Murphy, I think, was still on the board, for the Green Bay, for this position. And if you looked at like the hierarchy of, all right, what do we really need? Offensive lineman, safety, tight end, an edge player, maybe be in the top 4. I would have thought that edge was the least necessary move given what we have there. And I know Rashawn Gary is going to be hurt at the beginning of the year. But having said all that, this guy does have some attributes. I don't know if you've watched anything on tape or you have any thoughts on it before we jump in, but he's got the right background and pedigree. He has a great work ethic. Everybody speaks highly of him. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's young. And for me, he's just, when I look at it, just a lot of development needs to happen in both the run and pass game in order for him to produce at a level worthy of the 13th pick. That's why I was a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I'm with you there on game-changing talent. I definitely agree with that, because guys that go above the top 15, those are guys that are coming in. It don't matter the position. Maybe quarterback is the only one that may not be a starter, but you don't expect to be a starter because they got to develop. But any other position, running back, quarterback, or running back, wide receiver, D-line, linebacker, top 15th pick, that is a guy that's starting day one of training. He's in the rotation of training camp, day one preseason, he's playing, and then obviously day one, week one, NFL season, he's coming in off the bench. I like his motor. And it's not surprising of any Iowa defender that I've seen over the previous years, even during our time on the football field, like you mentioned, Aaron Kaffman and other players that came out of there defensively and even offensively, but defensively has that motor, is aggressive, and it looks like he can, if he needs to change up, if he doesn't need to have his hand in the ground, he can do that. He does have the technique of what we've seen from D linemen and linebackers that are potentially could have their hand in the ground for edge rushing. And it's going to be a guy, the way that Iowa coaching staff, I say, develops their players mentally, physically. Mentally, he's going to be all together, be ready to go, and be ready for training and ready for these OTAs coming up and then training camp in August.
I don't think there's any doubt that this kid, and let's just watch a little bit of him, AG. I don't think there's any doubt that this kid can produce at this level. And this is some tape I pulled off Block Party. So 6'5", 272, ran a 4.58. I got a couple clips here we'll just show just to point some things out, because he's got a lot of what you're looking for, but he's just, it's like there's a lot of work to do. And you think about like Aiden Hutchinson last year out of Michigan, he kind of comes in and he's still going to get a lot better. The ceiling's higher than it is now, but the dude's coming in and producing day one, right. Tackles for loss, sacks, 2 interceptions against us, for God's sakes. But you look at right. Lucas Van Ness here, and I think something that it's interesting to hear different people talk about guys like this, because it's like you're 6'6", 275, you got long arms, you have a wrestling background, I think you have a hockey background, you have great core strength, you're going to be man strong, right? We just call that man strong.
Right.
He's playing against the center right here. And so people are going, oh yeah, you can slide him inside and you can do this and that. You can push the pocket. I'm like, guys, he's 275 pounds. Like, I don't care how strong you are. You're 275 playing against 320, 330 pound guards and centers. You're not pushing the pocket in the National Football League at 275
he's doing that in college, not in the pros.
But it does. I guess my point is, like, it doesn't translate, man. This is ridiculous. But anyhow, they did move him around. He's got that Aaron Kampman stance. You see him number 91 over the center here.
It's exactly when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's scary.
Yeah, man, it's too funny. You see, he gets locked up by this larger player. And again, I don't. We've talked about this before, bro. Like, a lot of guys want to create their narrative, and so they'll just cherry pick plays. Dude, I watched I just watched 3 series of this guy play against Ohio State, which is a very, very good football team. They
NFL caliber team players.
They have 2 NFL tackles, right? And we'll see him here playing against Paris Johnson Jr., who's the 6th pick in the draft for the Arizona Cardinals. I think he was probably taken too high, in my opinion. He's probably the 3rd best tackle in this draft. But or maybe 4th after the guy that I think we should have picked up at 14, who got picked up at 14, but that's another story. Lucas Van Ness, I think that's why people love him, though. Heavy-handed, long arms. You see the bull rush here. And he just goes right into it and pressures the pocket. And this translates. And this is of everything that you could say about a player. Does he understand the angles of rushing? Like, does he understand his angle of departure, right? Does he understand his confrontation angle? And is he good with a 2-hand bull rush on the upfield shoulder where he can kind of get a good lean into the guy? And he shows here that he can do that.
Yeah.
And so right there, it's like you've got something that a lot of guys don't have anymore because they don't want to play the power game. And that, to me, is just, again, I always look at this from a defensive lineman standpoint. I go, okay, am I scared of the guy or not? Right. Is there anything that he's doing that bothers me? And I don't know if he's at this stage strong, fast, experienced enough for that to be a definitive, this would bother a good player. But he at least is trying to think about things the right way. And for me, that's a big deal.
Yeah. For D linemen, edge rushers, the mindset is penetration. The mindset is, how do I get past him, the person in front of me, as fast as possible? and push him back into the pocket to create a small pocket for the quarterback and the run game. And to have that mindset and understand that right away off the ball, as we saw there in that first play there, bull rush, then that's the basis of then developing other moves off of that he has. So he has that knowledge and expertise right now. So that's, as a coach, there's a room to grow him once he gets to our locker room and to my office.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the big thing you said there is he's got really, really good hands. He does. He plays with inside hands a lot. Now, awareness, football IQ, all of that kind of stuff, false stepping, it could be better.
The guys that we were watching, Miles Murphy could play out of a 2-point. He's kind of got unique bend. He's 6'5". These guys should be playing at 2 points. I'm talking about Wilson and Van Ness here. Dude, you're not just play out of a 3-point. And I know it's sexy to play out of a 2-point. It means you're an athlete. You don't have to put your hand in the ground. But leverage-wise, you're just going to get a lot more out of your body right now if you can play out of a 3-point more. And you see AG, like I had talked about him and Tyree Wilson kind of in the same vein, because a lot of these guys when they play with their hand in the ground, they're a completely different player. And you pick this guy's hand up, and he's just not as explosive. He's
not as dynamic.
Not as dynamic. You see here, this is a play where he's got space between the guard and center. You see the safety coming down on the outside of the right.
Yeah, right behind him.
So the left guard's clearly going to his right, our left on the screen, and he just puts his head down, tries to bury it in Paris Johnson's chest here. And these are just like football opportunities that we have to be a little bit more aware of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of because of the space involved, and you have outside leverage help from 26 to safety.
Right. Because he has his head up, eyes up, that he could see where he can get his body into and also fit into a run gap, and then the safety can just read his eyes or read his positioning and fit into another gap.
Exactly. And this really just comes down to very simply football IQ. Here's kind of another thought process, and this is why people love him. You see him over against the big fella. I forgot the name of the right tackle, but he's like 380 pounds. I mean, dude's a monster. I really like this guy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. But he's a big dude. Okay, but
big human.
But look at Van Ness spins him all the way around. I mean, this is the kind of long arm leverage power that guys get excited about, and rightfully so. I mean, you see this again, and dude spins around like a damn top.
And that's what you don't want as an O lineman. You don't want to be looking at your quarterback.
No, but what you like is when you're looking at traits, and this is kind of the whole conversation about a 13th pick of the draft.
Right.
When you're looking at traits, you go, oh man, there's some traits there. He plays with he's got leverage, especially when he's in the 3-point.
Mm-hmm.
He's got elite hand placement. He's not like good with his hands, but as far as like getting his hands on your chest, which is like the number one most important thing for a defensive lineman to do, he's better at it than most people are. He's got a good motor. He comes from a good school that's good at developing talent. I hope the kid turns into an all-pro, and there's no reason he won't. With the 13th pick in the draft, I was just a little bit. It was surprising to me. It was surprising because I thought, man, this guy would be a great late first rounder, second round pick.
Right.
Just given where he's at right now today, his ability to strike fear in the hearts of an offensive guard, an offensive tackle. I just don't know if it's there right now, but we'll wait and see. The Packers certainly spent a lot of time looking at that pick.
They saw something that made them pick them, something they liked.
Well, potentials. Here's the thing about the draft. It's AG. This is the question, and we're not used to picking this high,
right?
And so usually when you said the top 15, there's kind of a line of demarcation there where you go after 15. This is probably a next year he's going to show up.
Yes.
But 15 down, you kind of go, this year he better produce it. I think this guy will see the field, obviously, because Rashawn Gary and the rotation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But is he going to produce at maybe the level of some of the other high draft picks? Time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, you got to wait and see. Like I said, he has the prerequisites. He has the pedigree of being ready to go. Now I just got to see how he develops in training in OTAs, like I mentioned, in training camp. That's it. And barring injury, let's keep him there.
I think the Packers hit a home run in the second round with Luke Musgrave, man.
100%. I like him. I've seen his film. I like both the tight ends, actually. They're good.
6'6", 253, around a 4.6. He's got great bend. He is he has injury history. So he didn't, especially this last year, he didn't play very often. Kraft didn't play very often either.
Right.
I think he only played 6 games. But this guy, this is one of the few guys that I've seen that can be a complete tight end in this draft.
Yeah.
And I know everyone pointed at Michael Mayer being a complete tight end. Okay, well, I'm not disagreeing with that. I think the ceiling on this guy is much higher. This is going to come down very simply to what he showed you in the interview and who is leading that room. Who's coaching
the tight end room? Yes.
Who's leading the tight end room? That is going to be a huge deal because you see the bend right there, man. I mean, you that's something that we just look at from a strength and conditioning standpoint. Like, you can't teach what he just did at 6'6", and he loses this block, but it's like you're trying to figure out how this guy can move and operate is different. He can move differently than the other guys on that tight end list, and because of that, like, I think this is a absolutely monster opportunity and monster pickup.
Yeah, he has the drive. He has the want. He could catch the ball, and he could do what we've been asking tight ends to do for the Packers. You got to catch the ball and block.
Little seam here. I mean,
nice little route, nice shake there. Gets open and everything. So
he's a fantastic opportunity. They drafted 2 guys really that are kind of they're both F tight ends, and actually, I love this still shot, AG. I put it in here because so he's up there running in the second slot with 2 wide receivers, free release for all 3 of them. He's in front.
Right.
After 10 yards, he's leading, and they're all running deep routes. So I mean, he's the one running the dig. Right. So you have a guy here. There's just something to this guy that I think he's really going to be able to produce for us. Again, both him and Tucker Kraft.
Great names, by the way. Great names.
Tucker Kraft is a goddamn phenomenal name. I mean,
that's a great name. I say Tucker Kraft. That's a tight end's name right there.
He's a tight end or like a World War II airplane pilot. You know what I mean? Like,
I like it.
Unbelievable, man. But only played 6 games. We're talking about Tucker Kraft now, 6 games. So both guys are coming off. We talked about this earlier, and it didn't have to be first round, but the ability to get high level skill players that can develop with Jordan Love. Like, they're Jordan Love. These are Jordan Love's guys. Yeah. Even Dobbs and Christian Watson were drafted for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, in the immediacy. These are Jordan. These are the first, like, oh, who's are Jordan Love's guys? Oh, they drafted these 2 tight ends to be his security blankets.
Exactly.
That's
the guy you want to go to.
Musgrave can play anywhere along the line. All of these guys had a true wide tight end that sometimes would come in and then they would play off. But Luke Musgrave lines up on the ball. He can run block. Not as good as maybe Laporta, who went shortly after him. But I mean, both of those guys I thought were home run hits if you got either one of them.
Yeah.
Kraft can play on the ball, off the ball. They've run they run tight screens for this guy. I mean, they're middle screens. He's a good athlete just playing at a small school.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. I mean, like, both tight ends, both of these guys are almost photocopy of each other in terms of the mindset, the ability to catch the ball and run with the ball after the catch, and then dumping somebody if they have to in the run game. They have the physical to do it, and they want to do it. You could tell they want to do it. I watched a few films of him basically planting a DN/linebacker in the ground. Even though it's a small college, okay, no problem. But still, you see that the drive is there to get the job done.
I'm excited about both. I'm so excited that we have a premier tight end again. We really haven't since Jermichael Finley, I guess.
Yeah, that was somebody where people worried about him game after game. Yeah, now we're getting closer to see how these guys develop through. Like I said, same thing. OTAs work. It's hurry up and wait now. OTAs coming up, training camp. Barring injury, all right, who's going to be the guys in that room and who's going to be the number 1 coming out of that room?
The other thing is, though, think about what this means for how Goody and LaFleur want to put together the team, but also the offense, right? This looks a lot more like the San Francisco.
Yes.
I have two guys that I can put on the field at the same time.
That was a 12 formation.
And we can run. Personnel. Like I was just privy to look at the playbook for the run game playbook for, the San Francisco style playbook. And the amount of you need a use check, you need a Kittle to run it effectively, and these can be the guys, man. It's super exciting. So hopefully we're going towards that because you and I discussed that's for me, that's the best offense going given what we have up front, given what we have from a skill set position. I can't wait to see how they use these guys in this first year. I think they're going to come in and have a huge impact.
Right. They got the run game to do it. They got the running back to do it. So it's going to be fun.
Jaden Reed was our 3rd round pick. Jaden Reed's he's an interesting story. He might be the steal of this draft. This guy, if you watch his Senior Bowl highlights, blew the doors off everybody's practice player of the week in Senior Bowl. He went from Western Michigan to Michigan State after his freshman year. He's a freshman All-American.
Right.
And so he has to sit out that transfer year. And then in 2021, this dude's got 59 for 1,026, 10 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 punt return. He's first team All-American, right? And he's an undersized guy. Yeah. Everybody says, shoot, man, go in the draft. It's time. You're an All-American after 1 year. Let's go. He said, I got some unfinished business here. He stays in for college. Quarterback's no good. Team's no good. His numbers go down. So no one's really talking about him. He's not a combine killer. He's 13 reps, runs a 4.45, which is, to me, is really fast. To you is kind of fast. 33.5-inch vert. It's that's not really that high.
That's okay.
So he's not. Okay. Yeah, but you see some of these guys dropping 37s out there, 38s all of a sudden.
Right.
Geez. But when you watch
at wideout, right?
At wideout, right? So yeah, certainly not me, but you see this dude running out of the slot. You just kind of close your eyes, picture him in the slot.
Yeah.
Smooth route runner. He's super deceptive. Really good in and out of transitions. Good hands, catches the ball away from his hands. Another player where you got to get excited about, and where you picked him up. You and I don't really care about the tape as far as, I don't care if he ran a 4.45 because what he beat every dude at the Senior Bowl. He made him look stupid. So,
he has the IQ you can see when he runs his route, when he comes out the break, he knows how to position himself to catch the ball. If it's a deep end post route or a deep end corner route, him being a special teamer, that's bonus, especially his rookie year. He'll be able to help that special teams. That's always been a problem for the Packers. It changed up last year, but now you got one extra guy along with Nixon that could then bring a big change to the punt game or kickoff return game, wherever they may put him. But having a slot, this is the slot guy you want. You want somebody that's going to create issues in the middle of the field and able then, what LaFleur likes to do with those slot guys that have the speed, it's not breakaway speed, but it's speed enough to run what LaFleur likes to call with these little reverses or slip screens or anything like that, with Reed having Reed in there.
I like that he has a touchdown rushing. That means he did at least one end around during the year. Obviously, you said it's special teams value, so it's exciting. These are, so far you're looking at the draft and you go, we didn't address the offensive line, but it looks pretty good. You move on to Colby Wooden and I'm going to drop all the way down to Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. Both these guys fit the mold of, they've both played in 4-point stances with the hand in the ground. Now, Wooden was actually kind of interesting. He plays multiple positions on the line. He played for Auburn. He's not a great rusher. He's very, very limited in his moves. He's got, talking about Colby Wooden. He's very limited
from Auburn.
From Auburn, right? He's got a stab chop. He fits really well in just a base 3-4 scheme. He's well built. I wouldn't call him exceptionally athletic. You just say that's a well built dude. He runs a 4.8. He's got a 1.7 split. He plays physical. He reminds me of the name's the guy who played for the LA Rams for years at defensive end. It's just a super
blockers.
No, Green. What was his name? I'll remember it. But
okay,
he's just a really physical guy. He attacks the split flow guys. He attacks
backs. He attacks pulling guards. He just brings that to you. He can stand up. He can play in a 3-point or a 4-point. He's gonna be a good base 3-4 guy that can also play the nickel. You're just adding weapons to that roster right now that is, as you start to look at it with, Wyatt taking a step next year or from last year, and obviously having Kenny Clark. I know we lose a couple guys, but it still looks like we're building a really good room. You can add Lucas Van Ness. I mean, you get excited about the defensive line because I think that's really where we need to dominate. Carl Brooks had a Bowling Green. Carl doesn't have good combine numbers, but he is 6'4", 300 pounds. He has pass rush ability.
Yeah.
And he can do a 4-point stand. He can run from the tackle. He's kind of slippery. He can flip his hits. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's got great hips. He's got great bend. He plays a little bit tall when he goes into pass rush, but he obviously stands out at Bowling Green as far as just his physical size and athleticism, the way he looks amongst those other guys.
Yeah.
But he looks like he can hold the point of attack. He does a really good job winning with two inside hands in that 4-eye look. He gets when you're playing the 3-4 defense with a defensive tackle.
Yeah, which you gotta be good at.
Guys up, which is like kind of, again, what is the number one thing you got to be able to do? You got to be able to stand the dude up, shed a block against a single block, fall off the backside and make the play, especially if you're playing gap in the half like the Packers do. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
It's exciting. Like I said, the inventory that they were able to get at, 13 players for a draft when you only get 7 picks. So obviously with the trades going on before the draft had happened, that helped. And then getting guys like these two guys, Brooks and Kobe Wooden, that is, again, you're building out competition in the room. That's another thing they're doing. So they're putting a lot of heads in these rooms where these young guys from competitive conferences, SEC, ACC, Big Ten, where they understand what they are coming there for, what they're, being brought in there for. And having the technique down that they already have is good. And then they'll be able to get a little bit better to then crack into that starting lineup or just get into the rotation, because that's something that any defense wants to have. They want to have a good rotation between their front 5 or front 3 edge rushers, outside linebackers being in a 3-4.
We came out of the draft. We can say that Yosh is going to be our starting right tackle, and we have our offensive line settled.
Yes.
Who are our starting safeties?
D. Right now,
You didn't bring back Adrian Amos.
Nope.
Okay. They drafted Iowa State late round. I can't imagine he's starting. Savage is in the room.
He's in the room.
You got Ennis Gaines, Rudy Ford. Ford played at the end of last year, played pretty well. But I don't know that anybody's thinking like we're gonna put everything on Rudy Ford to be the bell cow safety on this team.
Right.
Dallin Levitt's in there. Where are we picking this guy? Maybe there's a guy that I don't know about that we're picking up.
Tavares Moore. Yeah. Where did he come from?
Tavares Moore is the one that we had 2 free agents this year. He's a special teams player.
Okay, gotcha.
Excuse me. He's a safety that plays special teams, but he'll be a special teams player.
Got it.
But we don't have. I mean, we still haven't really figured that out. So there's still some questions to be answered. Maybe they'll answer in training camp. Are they saying? Is this them telling us that Darnell Savage is going back to safety? That would be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think with the room, you look at all the DBs, we know Nixon and Rudy Ford are dynamic. We know they can be the wild cards where if we need to put Nixon at a certain corner or even a safety, when we know Ford is at the safety already, he can move around free and strong. I think that is, again, bringing in Anthony Johnson Jr. just more of an inventory thing and then seeing who's going to step up in the room.
Dude, that's a premier position, though, bro.
I understand that.
This isn't one of those guys. Like, this isn't like for me at least, you see guys with good safeties. That ain't mix and match to me, man. I want a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're football guys, though. And I'm putting my head into the GM seat where they're not, there are football guys, but we know at the end of the day, they're trying to be, and they're not. So.
Well, and this wasn't a great safety draft, to be fair.
No, yeah, you didn't see a whole lot of big hitters.
Safety draft. I mean, there's not
guys with range, knockout.
But
artists.
Even like the number one guy, Brian Branch, we'll talk about him in a sec here, but he played star at Alabama, and
didn't test, good, not great on the testing. It just, there wasn't guys that just jump off, there wasn't a math, there wasn't a honey badger out there going, you're like, oh man, this can't miss,
Yeah.
Or like remember when Earl Thomas came out? Oh my God.
Man, Sean Taylor.
Wow, yeah. If you want to go way back, but boy,
back.
He was a different, but like he's like a different species, man. That dude was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
My favorite thing of all time is still when he knocked that kicker out of the Pro Bowl.
Oh, awesome! Greatest hit I've ever seen in the Pro Bowl.
AG, who won the draft? Who's the draft winner for you?
I would say a team like the Eagles. Like they got better defensively too. They got Jalen Carter being that as a first pick. Mm-hmm. That is a win in my book. They already were in the Super Bowl playoffs, divisional champs, and now they just stiffen up when they lost Musgrave to free agency. And now you bring in another guy that could potentially by the end of the season, he could be one of the guys you can depend on. You could trust in the middle for that Philly defensive line that's already still has really good players still in there and in practice along against Kelsey-led O-line that they have too. So I say that's one team that just not Eagles thinking about it that pops off my head.
They already had Davis. I mean, they had his teammate from Georgia. You know what I mean? The Eagles. I don't know how the Eagles allow everybody to do this. It's like, okay, I got Brandon, I got Fletcher, I got Jordan Davis. I got Hassan Reddick. Oh, okay. You know what? I think we're a good room. We'll trade up and get the best player in the damn draft, Jalen Carter.
That's what they did.
And then they go, then we're going to trade back in and we're going to get his running mate, Nolan Smith, who, by the way, is the only defensive end who's around like a 4.3 40 at the combine. I mean, I know his production doesn't match his numbers, but put him on the other side of Hassan Reddick and see what happens. Like it's
going to be a problem.
Tyler Steen from Alabama. Tyler Steen is a good offensive tackle from Alabama. Mm-hmm. Kaylee Ringo, the kid from Georgia, dude, he was a second-day guy, and he dropped to the 4th round. You just, Moro Ojomo, I did a thing on Moro Ojomo, the Texans defensive end. That guy is like an average athlete, master technician in college already. Like, he's good. But I'll tell you, there's 2 teams I want to talk about besides the Eagles. One, hats off to the Houston Texans.
Yes.
And here's why.
Another one.
So the Houston Texans, they have the 2nd pick in the draft. And first of all, they wiped off all that S2 nonsense and they just picked CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. When they traded up and got Will Anderson, everybody thought they were going to take Will Anderson second, okay? And when they took CJ Stroud, the Arizona Cardinals are sitting there and they've got suitors because a lot of people wanted to pick up CJ Stroud with the 3rd pick. Okay. So if they would have picked Will Anderson, the cost of getting back to CJ Stroud would have been way higher.
Yeah.
But as soon as they picked CJ Stroud, everybody's like, well, that's what we wanted. So all of a sudden they backed off and they got that pick, which they still had to give up a lot for.
They did.
They got a lot because of that Deshaun Watson trade.
Right.
They get so they get 2 and 3. They basically just picked up the figurehead for the offense and the defense for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it was
in one fell swoop.
That was a gap blitz to the draft.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God.
Sarah's playing checkers, everyone else is playing chess, bro. And then they pick up. They need a center. Quisenberry's been playing center, done an okay job. His pass blocking and his run blocking were not up to par last year. They pick up 2 centers. They get the kid from Notre Dame, and they get in the second round. They get Juicy Struggs from Penn State.
Yeah, I
just feel like I like the kid. I like them all. I like the DN from TCU. Yeah. The kid the linebacker Henry To'oto from Alabama. Again, another guy. You're going. I thought he was going to be gone day 2. Nope. What happened? They killed it. Yep. Here's the team, and this is controversial. I think the Detroit Lions had an incredible draft, and I do not care what position we're talking about and what the value is. You look at their draft, round 1, pick 12, Jamar Gibbs, Alabama, running back.
It was controversial because of the running back part of it, right?
Yeah, but dude, he's a ball player.
He is.
Reggie Bush was a first-round draft pick. You know, I mean, you just go like, where I can put this guy anywhere. He's a matchup problem.
Yes, he could get in the slot. He could come off the backfield. He could do whatever you want him. You ask him to do, and he has the size.
Jack Campbell, first-round pick. Like, okay, the middle linebacker, but dude, he's going to be a starter on your team for 10 years.
Yep.
Day one starter, both those guys. Round 2. Sam Laporta, my second favorite, very, very close second favorite tight end from Iowa, absolute stud, going to be a game changer. They got rid of TJ last year and sent him to Minnesota. Now they got another number 1 tight end in that passing attack. Incredible. Brian Branch, the number 1 safety on the board, drops all the way to pick 45 in round 2. They get him. And then just to top it off, they go, we'll take a flyer on Hendon Hooker because he was probably top 3 quarterback in this before he blows his ACL based on how he was playing last season. And we get to pick him up in the 3rd round in case we don't love Goff.
ACL was Tennessee quarterback. I remember him. Yeah. Yep. I know. Yeah. And that right there, it shows you, with the injury that obviously gives some teams some hesitation because now they're saying, okay, he got to heal from the ACL. And how long is that going to take to get him actually on the field so we could see some real reps with our offensive line, with our run game, with our receivers. But you got to be like, you know what? I saw what I saw before he got hurt. That's a quarterback I like. So you can't. Injuries are injuries. It's just like bad weather. They're gonna come and go. Yep. And you got to make you got to trust yourself. Be confident. Make the pick. And they did that. And that's what Detroit has now been showing with the coaching staff. With everything's changing over there, and we know we got a different team. Everybody in that division knows it's a different team when you face the Lions now.
I want to give another John Schneider, a former Packer GM, the GM for the Seattle. Seahawks. Another
great draft.
He destroyed the draft last year. Right, he destroyed them last year. 5 or 6 starters, right on the first 7 rounds. So he picks up Devon Witherspoon at Illinois. I've seen this guy play firsthand. Beast, absolute beast. Okay,
and can hit.
Jackson Smith. A lot of people thought that we were going to pick up.
Yep,
I think is a great addition to their receiving core because they already have. They need D tackle help. But they offensive line, I mean, they've just got pieces in place right now, and they're just saying we're going to help this quarterback we just gave the bag to. We're going to help him be great. Derek Hall at Auburn's going to play immediately. This is Jack Sharp, the running back from UCLA. Deshaun Foster's down there coaching him up for the last 4 years. He says this is the dude. Yeah, no, this
my this man D Foss. I know D Foss.
Yeah,
this kid,
This kid can play. Anthony Bradford from LSU. I did a thing on him, the guard out of LSU. Monster. He's going to step in and immediately, probably going to play right guard and help that right side. Step in and play immediately. They just kill it. The center out of Michigan is a good player. I'm not even going to try to say his name, Oluwatimi, but yeah, I'll blow it.
You was right, Oluwatimi. You nailed it.
OC. But good player on a great line, well coached.
Yep. He won the Remington Award.
Did he?
Was that him?
I don't know.
Let me see a picture. Hold up. Because I met him. He was down here when he got the Remington trophy. Yep, that's him. Yep, good kid. I was able to talk to him a little bit when he won the Remington Award here in January of this year. Great family, great support system, and basically said, "Hey, man, get yourself ready because it's a mind. You got to have a mindset of when you come in, no matter what round you get drafted in, you have your business together first. You study that playbook, you hit it with wild and abandon, and then once you get on that football field physically, and you do that too, get yourself in shape, ready to go because you already have the tools. What you've been doing for 3-4 years. No, he transferred in. He went portal then to Michigan, right? He was somewhere else before, I think, and he portal to Michigan last year and still won all these awards. So that means he's already understanding, regardless where I go, I got to be like this. I got to play no matter where I'm at. I got to be that person for my O-line and for my teammates, and obviously, he got a straight, steady mind and a straight and steady focus. So I'm excited for them, and having him in Seattle, where they like to run the ball anyway and play hard defense, he's going to be a good fit for that Seahawks team.
It'll be interesting to see if he starts early. I know they've got some guys they're happy with up there, but it's a great pickup, no doubt. I got some listener questions for you. You ready for them?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, AG, what's an overused draft speak phrase or term that drives you crazy?
Anything that Mel Kiper says. Anything that he says.
That's true. So here's one that Mel Kiper says. Tons of untapped potential. You just got to coach him up. Oh, okay. Thanks, Mel. That's one. You know the one that bothers me? Generational talent.
Oh,
every year, there's like 3 quarterbacks that have generational talent.
What is that?
Generational talent. The only guy that has generational talent is Anthony Richardson. He's the only guy. And by the way, that's for like the last 4 years because there ain't nobody like him because he broke all the combine records and he can throw the ball through the moon. So, you know what I mean? That's what generational talent means. You see what I mean? That one that drives me insane. But you know what drives me the most is with just the whole premise of how we look at these guys from a media standpoint. And what am I trying to say here? So the way that the teams look at these guys sometimes is so different. And then, if a guy lines up their draft as close to their team or doesn't, I just go, all this stuff's kind of fun because we like watching tape, but really all we really care about is like, okay, I would rather just talk about, okay, here's who they drafted. We didn't have to do anything before the draft. You and I, we could have just, okay, who's they drafted? All right, I'm going to tell you how to beat them. Because that's really all I care. You know what I mean? That's all we care about. Can I beat him or can I not beat him? That's really what we want to look at. But
that's it.
All this other stuff, all the other intangibles and this and that comes from me. It's like, dude, how do you beat them? Are they hard to beat or are they easy to beat? Simple. All right. What do you think of the value question? When teams talk about, oh, that's good value. That's like running back thing's an easy example. That's not a good first round value. How do you, if you're a GM, obviously there's a little bit of strategy and gamesmanship to it, but just generally speaking, how do you think about value versus like, dude, I'm going to take players right now if I think they're the right guys?
Yeah. The value comment is in my book. It's like, what are you valuing? Like, what are you evaluating or giving that value to? Because to my team as a GM, I already know what I need, what is valuable to me, and what positions are. So for a commentator, a talking head to say that, I'm like, what is that? Because that's the difference to every GM in terms of what's valuable to their team in their draft or who they need, not who they want. I say what I need is valuable to me because I need a guard or I need a quarterback. I need a strong safety. When I need things, those are the players I'm picking that I'm making sure I do my thorough analysis of them from top to bottom. And then when I put on the tape, I am satisfied. I'm watching somebody. Does that force you
to reach? Does that force you to reach?
No.
Okay.
No. I will not reach. It won't force me to reach because I know when I turn on the tape, the last part is when I turn on the tape and I'm like, yeah, that's my safety. Mm-hmm. In 5 seconds. In a 5-second play, that's my guy. That's my running back. That's my wide receiver. When I see them do that position as we know it, running back dropping his shoulder, linebacker filling the A gap, making a tackle, wide receivers running certain routes and getting open. I'm like, yep, that's my guy. That's how I get to that, where then the value to me, to every other GM, all 31 GMs is different.
I agree. I agree completely. I think the Detroit Lions are like the one to talk, with this idea. We just listed 4 guys who may or may not fall in the same draft order because of value that the Lions did. And a lot of people are questioning, like, it's a head scratcher. It's like, well, the only thing you can say is maybe the Lions think they're further along than they are. But my counter to that would be like the NFC North's open. It's wide open.
Wow.
Right now, I'm looking at the Lions like they're the best team in the NFC North. And I think they're the team that got the most better. I know that's probably poor English, but better by the widest gap.
It's a podcast, Mike. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Over the last 3 days than anybody else. Right. And so you look at, pick up a running back is going to play immediately, has huge problems for the opposing defenses.
Yep.
Linebacker is going to be your signal caller for the next 10 years. Right. Safety that's going to come in. You're just putting pieces in place, and you already have a quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl. You have an explosive offense. Your offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, stayed for the year. You have the best offensive line, arguably in the league. Okay.
Yep.
You've got the only thing you don't have is defensive tackles. So you got to figure that out, obviously, but you have Aiden Hutchinson. You have any guys that can rock with him and play at a little bit higher level, but you have pieces literally everywhere else.
Safety position, it'll take a little bit of time. Obviously, their defensive secondary was a problem last year, so they're continuing to address it both in free agency and the draft. But I feel like if I'm those guys, what am I waiting for? I get fired in 3 years if I don't perform. Like, I'm going to perform. If I feel like I'm even close and I can make it to the NFC Championship, bro, I'm going.
Yes.
So
winning division, they got the people to do it.
Speaking of the tight ends for the Packers, the question is, do you think one of these two tight ends, talking about Kraft or Musgrave, will uproot DeGuara as the H-back tight end role? As a shorter, more agile tight end? I think. Competition-wise, 100%. I don't think there's any
DeGuara better strap. Hey, if I'm DeGuara right now, I'm getting my mind right. Right now. I mean, this is the mindset I had coming into the NFL. I already knew, because what I went through here in Nebraska, I was an All-American. I came in training camp. I was 5th on the depth chart. All-American in high school. Where was I at? 5th on the depth chart. So I had to prove myself. So that's what DeGuara, Tyler Davis, they have to do. If we're talking about value, they better prove their value to understanding that they got some, as we call in the locker room, some real dogs coming in there that know how to run block and know how to run routes and be physical at the same time. So those two, Tyler Davis, DeGuara, need to get their minds right. And that's being just real and straight up. If I'm a coach, I'm looking at them like, hey, you better turn it to another level. You need to flip that switch on, take it to a whole nother level. You got these young dogs coming in here that are already doing it, and they're ready to, and they're going to get paid more money. So they're going to be a lot more motivated. So this is going to be interesting. And I like my room right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's any doubt that DeGuara in particular, who listen, he contributed last year. He's an NFL player.
Exactly.
But there's no doubt that he was sitting here this offseason. He knew they were going to pick up some tight ends, whether it was free agency or draft. So this isn't necessarily a surprise for him, but it is one of those like, oh man, they picked up 2 guys that play my position, and are good. They're both pretty athletic, and they weigh 250 pounds, and one of them's fast as hell. You know, you just go, okay,
let's go. Okay. Let's get it.
Let's go. AG, we got time for some get off my lawn?
Oh yeah, what we got?
Okay. Listen, we're gonna start with this, bro. Last night. Okay, I'm gonna start by saying this. Peter Pan is one of my favorite stories. Okay, since I was a kid, my parents took me like a Peter Pan live action, like a theater performance of Peter Pan when I was a kid. So I've always liked the shit. Okay? I like the idea that you don't have to grow up. I like Neverland. You fight pirates all day. You get it right. Now, I understand now that the 1930s cartoon of Peter Pan was insensitive in a number of ways. I understand that when Jamberry wrote his theater play, and you know all the boys were lost boys and there weren't any girls involved, and Wendy was kind of needed a damsel in distress. I understand that is not where we're at today, socially or anything. I get that. When you're 5, you just think that the dude's flying around. It's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we turned this movie on because I see on Disney Channel, Peter Pan and Wendy come on, and I can't put into words how disappointed I was in this movie. In it basically was like every woke bad, everything you could have added to this movie. Can we make Peter Pan? Peter Pan was the bad. Peter Pan was the bad guy. Peter Pan's the bad guy. I don't want anybody to watch it, so I'll just tell everybody. Peter Pan's the bad guy. You feel bad for Captain Hook. Wendy is the hero. Tiger Lily is the hero. The Lost Boys are mostly girls. You know what I mean? It's all fine.
Yeah.
But it just, boy.
Peter Pan's the bad guy? What?
Peter Pan is essentially the bad guy in the show. He's the pathetic. He has done some bad things to people. He's the bad guy, and he needs, and at every single turn, Peter Pan can't save himself. He needs not just anybody, Wendy, but a very specific demographic to save him every time.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, we're watching, me and my son are watching, my wife's there, and we're just, the commentary was it was fun to watch as a family.
Now I gotta check it out. I've got to check it out.
You know what the problem is?
Well, Maddox is saying he was complaining about it. We woke up this morning, we're playing soccer, and he's complaining about it still. And he just looks at me, he goes, we'll watch it again. I go, oh yeah, we will. We'll watch it again.
I've had that experience with movies or TV series the last year where I turn it on and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
It's a different world we live in.
I missed what what is this movie or series? What are they doing here?
What message are we trying to send? Are we trying
exactly?
to
I'm like,
film, or is everything political?
I'm like, what is going on? I can't remember. It was something I watched in the last couple months where I was like, what is going on here? I can't. I'll think about it next show and I'll bring it up.
Were the Kings doomed after Game 6 on Friday? They beat the hell out of the Lakers. They start taking photos, like post-game photos in the locker room. And it was like, or not the Lakers,
you mean Golden State? Yeah, Warriors.
And you start going,
I didn't know they did that.
Showing your immaturity. That was a bad, don't put him out. Right? Yeah. And they put him out and it was like, and you're done. That'll be.
Again, back to trash talking. Don't trash talk. Period. Unless you that guy, and especially in this NBA.
Dylan Brooks.
No, you're not that guy yet. He's a good player. He's a great. I've seen him what he did in his 7 games of the NBA playoffs.
Don't say he's a great player.
No, I say he's a good player.
I know I just switched teams, by the way, from the Kings to the Grizzlies, but and I've never rooted for LeBron James in my life. I rooted for LeBron James after that. Dylan Brooks got me to root for LeBron. I was like, dude, I hope LeBron drops. And then he didn't drop 50. I was like, come on, man. Like, this is you need to drop 50 on this guy's head.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was something interesting. Yeah, Dylan Brooks, he didn't want to be the bad guy. I think he asked the media, but not to be the bad guy.
Does he get kicked? Does he get kicked off that team? He's got to get kicked off that team, right?
For what did he do? Well, other than hitting LeBron, I know
Dylan Brooks he trolls LeBron after like game 2 or whatever.
Right.
And basically just guarantee. No. Bro, before that. Okay. So before that happened, after the first or second game, he went to the media and he's like got a jacket on, no shirt, huge chain, designer sunglasses, being Captain Cool, and just start saying how LeBron's old and I wish I would have played him when he was good, like just bad mouthing him.
So
that's why everybody's ears went up, and then they went out and get the hell beat out of him.
Yeah,
played terrible for the next 2 games. Wouldn't talk to the media after. The next
he
2
got
games.
fined. I saw that.
Didn't own up to his talk, and then this last one after they got eliminated, he's like, "Well, I'm not really mad. I talk trash because that's just who I am." It's like, well, who were you when he's a front runner, right? Like that whole team.
That's why you don't trash talk. If you can't back it up for any reason, don't do it. Don't jump in the ring with that. He learned a lesson the hard way.
I like that Kings team though. That Golden State Kings series was fun.
That was a good series. Solid.
Steph Curry dropping a 50 burger yesterday was ridiculous.
Right.
Hey, G, I got one more for you before we get out of here, man. After the draft, everybody's healthy. Rank the division right now.
Ooh. Divisions around the league?
No. Just rank ours.
Oh, NFC North. Everybody healthy.
Everybody's healthy. So quarterbacks are Jordan Love.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins. Jared Goff. Justin Fields.
Ooh, everybody healthy. I'm going to go Detroit 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go a wild card here. I'm going to go Chicago 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Minnesota and then us.
That's where I'm at.
Because
I agree with you. I think Justin Fields is going to elevate.
Yes. I mean, we saw it this past season. And like I said, against us, it's going to be learning as we go how to be a pro. They're going to have a good season, but Jordan Love is going to go through those bumps and grinds just like Aaron did. Brett did it too. That first year is not going to be easy. Is it going to be growth? Yes, there's going to be growth. All those players will get connected from the tight ends to the receivers to the run game. And then year 2 is be like, all right, we got beat up. Now we got it. I understand what we need to do. And if they don't go through that, great. But there are going to be some bumps in the road, and that's just natural for a young team. Basically, I know if some of the players don't want to say it, but they rebuilt. They're rebuilding now.
Agreed.
So it's natural. It's not nothing saying against the Packers. It's just this is the normal transition when you go from you having Hall of Fame talent in certain positions or in positions, period, not just where they're at. And that talent is gone. And then now you got talent coming in there that don't have the experience level, reps, games under their belt that the players previously had. So now they have to, you're pretty much starting from zero. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about it. It's okay. You're going to have this year. Soak it in, learn from it. And then 2024 is going to be a better year. That's the idea of what they're going through, what they're going to go through in 2023.
So Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, second year, they could have a jump in production. Like I could see that happening. They pick up Jordan Addison. They could have a jump. I mean, they have weapons, man. I mean, and they have, and I think their offensive line is only going to get better. Chicago picked up my favorite tackle, Darnell Wright, in the league. I mean, I think that maybe Skoronski's, maybe a more complete guy right now, but just as far as like projects, man, like I think that Darnell Wright kid is going to be amazing. So you could say 2 or 3 or 3 or 2 with those guys. I flip flop them, or I wouldn't argue with you either way. But yeah, man, I don't. It'll be interesting to see if the Packers aren't in 4th place at the end of the year right now. I mean, just the way it's looking, I don't think it doesn't like. And the thing is, like you said, AG, it's just a natural part. Like you can't be good all the time,
right?
You just can't. It's like the Patriots lose Tom Brady. It's like I don't care how good Bill Belichick is. Like Tom Brady's the one calling the shots, man. Like on the field, like it happens. This is what happens. So be prepared.
Be prepared. Fans too, because we know how the fans are.
Speaking of fans, AG, where they can find you and tell you about your other ventures on this channel.
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmonGreen30 on all one word, and then on TikTok, Amon Green's Gamers Lounge. That's every Wednesday live on Amon Green TV and Amon Green's Gamers Lounge on YouTube. Check me out at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So, Mike, let everybody know where they can find you.
Mike Wall 68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. You can check the show out on the Process to Perform channel on YouTube and, of course, on any podcast. It's been fun, man. We will see you next week.
Peace.